Gradually lifting his board, the swell rises menacingly, enormous before him. Words appear inexorably. This time, I will choose it to ride. And the dreamer paddles strongly out, wide awake to meet his dream. Entering Honolulu Bay, the black wave feels the bottom shallow with wet toes. Countless tons of heavy salt sea, driven across hundreds of deep rolling miles, press forward inexorably with no place to go. So they rise even higher, higher, until the mighty wave begins to crest. David sitting calmly on its back, Ahab on Moby Dick. Facing outside toward his past, heavy spray crackling around, David sees the calm sea sinking dozens of feet below. Rising still higher, the rider smiles lightly, spins his faithful old board with powerful legs, and matching the ocean's pace, sensing its energy flow, drops to his chest and paddles hard for land, hard, hard for the distant shore. Driven by deep inertial forces, the fathomless ocean rolls sea creatures to the surface, giant squid with opaque eyes, blind anglerfish waggling their glowing lures, dense swirling rings of kaleidoscopically colored planktonic organisms, stinging jellyfish whose venom kills, sea lilies glowing with blue fluorescence, brittle stars with gaping, teeth-lined mouths, sponges of every shape and size, bivalves with alabaster shells, wolffish and colorless deep sea sharks, yeti crab rise, covered with slimy hair, primitive jaws snapping. Above the churning living mass, glass and foam, shaped and finned by Dewey's eye and hand, locked to water. Alien elements, board, man, boy, child, drop in. Knowing the sure way home, the old gun rises majestically in an inexorable grip. Spray blinding him, David springs up, goofy foot, stands tall, then crouches low on rubber knees. Effortlessly, like a reed in a storm drain, the great wave plucks him high with the force of our whole spinning planet and hurls him forward above open space hanging below. Legs spread wide, crouching in the classic big wave rider's stance with the sure power of a man confident, at home in this terrifying place. He shuffles back and forth a few steps, discovers his balance, then drives down the face of the great gnarly beast without retreat. When the curl moves beneath, in rhythm with his breath, he shuffles onto the wide shovel Dewey carved especially for nose riding, and leaning forward, unhesitatingly plunges many stories down the wave's swirling face, 10 toes, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 feet, falling as Sam, his father, fell, obeying the same inexorable gravitational law, accelerating at nearly one gravity, 30 plus feet per second, trailing a 4-foot-high plumb-true spume, straight down, balancing the ocean's titanic thrust and energy. David gracefully rides the stone-hard wall at nearly 80 miles an hour towards its bottom. A shaft of sunlight strikes the crouched, slim figure, flying through the emerald room, under the massive, curled-over cobalt blue wavefront, backlighting him and the salt spray streaming up under his feet. Illumination of the gods. Awake, universe. A reborn man straddles the spine of the planet. Riding the boundary layer of sea foam and compressed air, the 80-foot mountain curling over and around him, seconds and minutes cease to exist. Time slows and slows, almost coming to a halt, until, without thought of danger, David deliberately leans on Dewey's delicately carved rail, and bottom turns into spray reaching over his head, cutting back up the churning face, claiming its energy, carving as though through solid flesh, Accepting a limitless power beyond himself, he climbs into the turbulent water of his life. As David learns to completely own his unique history, maybe, just maybe, he will hang 10 for the rest of his many days.